Was my husband and I have been talking about, my husband is really, he's falling apart. I mean, he's just falling apart.
Should I put these on?
Oh, what the hell happened there? Let me have that. I can fix it. Normally I can fix it. And one of the big things is just the mental aspect of it. It's like, how do you get over the hurdle and
But you have a different monster. You have my business is psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this so long, the men are built a lot different than the women. Men, it's pride.
Well, his issue, he has a lot of issues.
Don't we all, men?
Yeah, he's former military and was wounded in combat and has had like 3 back surgeries and 2 knee surgeries. When we go to a new doctor and they say, write down your surgeries, it's like 3 pages for him. He had a ray resection, so he's missing a finger on his right hand, so he has problems with his hands and his nerves, and for him at this point he's so heavy. He's probably 100 pounds overweight.
Well, he's probably past that. He's at that point. He won't say this to you, but of number 1, I don't want to ask for help, and number 2 is that I don't want to show weakness, and I'm past the point of really doing any good.
Well, he's actually moved past that.
Good.
We're now at the point now where it's like, okay, I have to do something, but I don't know what to do because everything I've done in the past
didn't work.
No longer works,
Yeah.
or it didn't work, or my way is a failure. That was a big thing for him.
Right.
Was he's like, I have to do things my way, and I'm like,
and the last thing we
your way
want to
got
do
you
is
here.
fail again.
Oh, big time, big time. And I have never taken off the baby weight. My daughter's 19 months old now. I'm like, I've really lost excuses for the baby weight at this point.
Did you recall my old boss, Kathy Smith?
I love Kathy Smith.
Kathy could pop a baby out.
I lived and died by Kathy Smith videos.
She's still my best friend. I talk to her all the time.
Love her. Love her.
She wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to physical stuff, but she had a personality.
But you know what? I'm not a group person, but I love doing stuff like that at home, and I love her stuff. I've always used her stuff.
She made a mint.
Oh, I'm sure.
She got in with the ground floor. I used to manage a health club for her in L.A. And she was but she could pop a kid out. And,
freaking Denise Austin.
Yeah,
I hate that
and
bitch.
it just, and it right back. They're like, oh.
Well, and I was 39 when I got pregnant the first time. So the whole time I'm pregnant, I didn't gain a lot of weight at all until the end of my 7th month, and then just ballooned up. I mean, ballooned so much so that they're like, something has to be wrong here, and nothing was wrong. I just ballooned up. And and the whole time I was pregnant, my doctor's like, okay, remember, you're 39. You're 39. Getting this weight off is going to be really difficult. And, you think to yourself, well, we'll work it out. It'll come off. But this year, my husband and I both feel like, okay, we're going to go. We're going to go. This is it. This is the year. So I just,
It's such a psychological thing. And you know this. Men don't always know this. Women do. I told this to one lady that owns a health club here in town. She was really overweight, and I said, until you lose your past, you're not going to lose the weight.
I don't understand that. She owned a health club, and she was
Painter's house is never painted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
That old saying.
The people that I know that work in the healthcare industry have always been really fit. That's why I'm surprised.
But, we all have our demons. But yeah. I told her, I said, Jill, until you lose your past. So there's this, you've got that weight of the past creates those behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard for us to lose that past thing. A friend of mine's in the hospital yesterday, had a stroke. And all he can do is beat himself up because he didn't exercise.
Right.
I said, well, until you get over that,
right.
Okay, learn from that.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband's big thing is he's like, I just love food so much. I said, well, you don't have to not love food. We just have to love better food.
The Green Book. My bestseller and my favorite one. It's more straightforward. It's called Truth or Consequences.
Yeah.
And it's about the barriers, like resentment, pride, laziness, and it's real straightforward. And it's like, if you don't do this, you're going to get this. And
right.
I don't know. I've been doing this 25 years. And
well, you're the first person that I've talked to. I actually in a former life, I worked with a company that did product development, got products ready for mass market, things like that, and product development consulting. And one of the clients I worked with was this woman in California who has a fantastic emotional eating program. But it has a hypnosis program that goes with it. Where I broke with her is I disagreed with her stance on nutrition. I thought it was very outdated, and I didn't really, I thought she should have stayed out of that business and just gone with the sort of emotional eating stuff. And working with her sort of made me aware of the connection, of the mind-body connection, more so than I ever had before.
There's another book in there for you, the food one, called In or Out. It's all about psychology of food.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So what's the goal here? What do you want?
So we got Why Wait.
Why Wait is the New Year's resolution book that I wrote 4 years ago, based off of the.
Here we go. Hang on one second. 84 WHAS, wrapping up our last half-hour programming, because coming up at 11:30, we'll have the UK Winthrop game. If you want to hear Rush, you can always stream him online at WHAS.com. Now, about this time of year, I am inundated with emails from people, fitness professionals, and all of these emails from publicists saying, our person has the perfect way to help you keep those New Year's resolutions. Well, I got an email from a guy named Greg Ryan that essentially said, look, resolutions are kind of a racket, and you need to make these commitments to yourself without a New Year's resolution. And when I started looking at his approach to health and fitness and things like that, I realized that he seemed to be the one guy talking about not just the physical heavy lifting, but the mental heavy lifting that goes into leading a healthier lifestyle. And joining me now from Resolutions, it's Greg Ryan, everybody.
Good morning, Mandy.
Now, you're not an unknown quantity to this audience. You've been on Terry's show before.
I've been on Terry's show a few times.
Now, let's look at this is a perfect way to look at this. Terry is an exercise nut. Terry lives to be doing something athletic. I am at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. If I could live like Jabba the Hutt, I probably would. But I fear that I'm going to get old and get diabetes and have a heart attack and have metabolic syndrome and all of these things that I'm keenly aware of, but I seem powerless to really take control of my own health issues that I don't have yet. I'm trying to be proactive, Greg, but it's not working. Where am I missing the boat? You got this book, Why Wait? New Year's fitness resolutions. How do I get past this hump?
Well, you just said two things that really stood out to me. One is fear, and you're overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
And fear is a very powerful motivator. And most people that do start exercising, unfortunately, has to have something threatened to be taken away from them that's of a value. And so fear is a very powerful motivator. The other thing is that you're overwhelmed. And a lot of times what's happening these days is that this is not, it's hard as far as a discipline. But there's no magic formula to this. And it's not that hard. It's very simple if you look at it. It is a numbers game, but the psychology of this is the bigger thing, and that takes a little bit of discipline.
Well, let's talk specifically about resolutions, because we're coming up to the new year. People make New Year's resolutions every year. Generally speaking, pretty much the same resolutions. Am I right?
It's the same one. Yeah. You know, I used to manage health clubs, and this was a busy time of the year because the attitude between 10 o'clock on December 31st and 10 o'clock the next morning totally changes, because we use that as a time to set a goal.
Yeah. So, but why should we set resolutions if we know, like I know, that I'm likely to break my resolutions? Why do we engage in this sort of process?
Well, one thing I wrote in my book, there was 3 reasons that we set New Year's resolutions. One of it is trendy.
Everybody does
it. As crazy as that sounds, everybody does it. I want to fit in with the crowd. The other part is that postpartum blues. We're done with Christmas, and we need a little jump start. It's a good time of the year, and then the symbolism of it. I mean, hey, I'm starting. It's water cooler stuff.
Right, right.
So none of those are the right reasons, but that's what we do it for. And then by April,
or who makes it to April, Greg? I'm talking by the end of January.
Trying to give you a little benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm telling you, I'm like a tragic case with stuff like this. For years, I said I was going to quit smoking on New Year's Eve because I was a smoker for many years, and ended up quitting smoking like in April. But I did quit. It was something that I did accomplish. But how do things go terribly off the tracks? People are motivated. It's a time of renewal, the beginning of the year. You make these resolutions, and you believe this is the year that I'm going to take control of things. Why do we get so easily derailed?
Well, again, there's 3 reasons. Number 1 is we give ourselves easy outs.